Some people say true love is about perfect timing, that the universe has a way of pushing two people together when they're meant to be. I don't know if I believe in fate, but I do know this. One random Tuesday, in the most ordinary place, I met someone who made me believe that maybe, just maybe, life is full of little serendipities. And this is our story. I was 29, living in Chicago. Not the glamorous Chicago you see in movies, not Navy Pier or the Magnificent Mile. I lived in a cramped studio apartment above a dry cleaner in Logan Square. The kind of place where the radiator clanged like it was haunted and the view out my window was just the brick wall of another building. I worked as a financial analyst. Boring spreadsheets, endless PowerPoints, deadlines that didn't really matter but felt like they did. My life wasn't awful. But it wasn't amazing either. It was fine. And fine has a way of eating at you when you're young and wondering if this is all life is ever going to be. Every morning, I'd stop at the same coffee shop on the corner. Lena's Cafe. It was small, with squeaky wooden floors and mismatched mugs that made you feel like you were drinking coffee in someone's grandma's kitchen. That's where it happened. It was a Tuesday. Rainy. The kind of rain where the city feels heavier, like everyone's shoulders are carrying the sky. I walked into Lena's, damp coat, messy hair, just wanting caffeine before work. And there she was, standing in line, flipping through a paperback novel. She had brown hair tucked into a beanie, oversized sweater, and Converse shoes that looked like they'd been through 1,000 miles. I don't know why I noticed her. Maybe it was the way she was completely lost in her book while the whole world rushed around her. Maybe it was the way she smiled to herself at a sentence no one else could see. The line moved, she stepped up, and when it was my turn, the barista asked for my order. I was distracted, still looking at her, and I muttered something dumb like, same as hers. The barista laughed. You don't even know what she ordered. The girl turned around, smirking. Hope you like chai lattes. And that's how it started. Not fireworks. Not lightning. Just chai lattes. Over the next few weeks, I kept seeing her there. Always at the same corner table by the window, always with a book. Sometimes she'd smile when I walked in. Sometimes she wouldn't notice me at all. Finally, one morning, I got brave. I grabbed my coffee and walked over. Hey, mind if I sit? She looked up, raised an eyebrow, and said, Depends. Are you going to drink another chai latte and pretend you like it? I laughed. No promises. Her name was Emily. She was 27, worked at an art gallery downtown, and had a laugh that made you feel like you just told the funniest joke in the world, even when you hadn't. From then on, mornings weren't just mornings. They were our little ritual. Coffee, conversation, and sometimes silence, the good kind, the kind where you don't need to fill the space. It didn't take long before coffee turned into more. We'd go on long walks by the lakefront, her hair flying everywhere in the wind. We'd sit on park benches sharing bagels, watching the city breathe. She introduced me to her favorite used bookstore, where she could spend hours digging through dusty shelves like she was on a treasure hunt. I introduced her to my guilty pleasure, late-night deep dish pizza, eaten straight out of the box with paper towels instead of plates. We weren't perfect. I was overcautious, a planner. She was impulsive, a dreamer. But somehow it worked. Where I hesitated, she left. Where she floated, I grounded her. It felt right. One night, we were sitting on her rooftop, wrapped in a blanket, city lights twinkling below us. She turned to me and said, "Do you believe in fate?" I thought about it. I don't know. I believe in choices. You make a choice, and it leads to another, and that's how life happens. She shook her head. I think the universe nudges us sometimes. Like, it wanted you to order that chai latte. I laughed. Or maybe I was just awkward. But deep down, her words stuck with me. What if she was right? What if all of this wasn't just random? Love isn't a straight line. Emily had dreams, big ones. She wanted to open her own art studio, maybe even move to New York. I wanted stability. A house in the suburbs someday, a steady paycheck, a quiet life. Our arguments weren't loud, but they were heavy. She'd say, "You're too afraid to take risks." I'd say, "You live in a fantasy world." And yet, even in the middle of fighting, I'd look at her and think, I don't want to lose this. Then came the day everything changed. It was a Saturday morning, sunny, one of those rare perfect Chicago days. Emily suggested a road trip. No plan, just driving. I resisted at first. What about work emails? What about bills? She rolled her eyes, grabbed my keys, and said, "Come on, control freak. Trust me." We drove north, past fields and little towns, until we found ourselves at a random roadside diner. Greasy food, jukebox playing old love songs, sunlight pouring in. She looked at me across the table and said, "This is it, you know. These little moments. This is life. If we wait for perfect timing, we'll miss it." And something clicked. She was right. I had been waiting my whole life, waiting for the right time, the right job, the right everything. But she was the right now. A few months later, Emily got an offer. A chance to help run a gallery in New York. Her dream. We stood in that same coffee shop where we'd met, and she whispered, "I don't want to leave you." My heart ached. Every part of me wanted to beg her to stay. But instead I said, "Go. You have to." She kissed me, tears in her eyes, and left. The next year was hard. Calls, texts, visits when we could manage. But distance has a way of pulling people apart. Eventually, the messages slowed, the visits stopped. We didn't officially end it. We just drifted. I thought that was it. That was our story. A beautiful beginning with no ending. But fate, or choice, or maybe both, wasn't done with us. Because one snowy December evening, 2 years later, I walked back into Lena's cafe, and there she was. Same corner table. Same book. Same smile when she looked up and saw me. And just like that, we found our way back. It's been 5 years now. We're married, living in a little house in the suburbs. She has her own art studio. I still work in finance, but I write sometimes on the side, mostly about her. Do I believe in fate now? I don't know. Maybe it was chance. Maybe it was the universe. Maybe it was just chai lattes. But I do know this. Sometimes the smallest choices lead to the biggest love stories. And sometimes, the universe really does give you a second chance. So if you're listening to this, wondering if love is real, if it's out there for you, don't give up. Go to that coffee shop. Take that road trip. Say yes to something you'd normally say no to. Because you never know. Maybe the universe is just waiting for the right moment to nudge you toward your own serendipity.